Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Bleeding Blue Shirts. John and Steve with you as we talk all things Rangers. Stevie, it looks like the boys picked up where they left off before the break. And we come to you after a couple wins after the 9 days of inactivity for the All-Star break and the bye week. One of the most thrilling regular season games we've seen in a long time, in the overtime win over Calgary, and then the rather pedestrian win 4-3 at the Garden over the Vancouver Canucks. I think if there's a theme, it would probably be the line that you've taken to calling the young adult line, led by Filip Chytil in the middle, Lafreniere on the left, Kakko on the right. In both games, they were probably the Rangers' best line. You agree?
I do agree, and I like the underlying numbers that match up with the eye test, and 75% of the goal share that they have, that's during the time they've been together now, over 29 games at 5-on-5. It really blows my mind. Those numbers, they're the best in the league. And you have to look around pretty hard to find anybody that's playing as well as they are as a line right now. And what does that do? It pushes everybody above them. Imagine if you are Zibanejad and Panarin going over the boards after those guys have been out there, and you got to go out there and play well. Trocheck and Kreider score the game's first goal against Vancouver, but I just feel like everybody's being pushed, but it's a healthy competition. It's good for everybody. I love the way the team's playing right now. A lot of habits and details are really being checked, and I'm in big support of the way that they're playing on offense, John. If you look at the game against Vancouver, they had 10 low danger chances. And the game against Calgary, they had 13. And before the break, they had some really good games. One that stands out against Florida, where they only had 11 low danger. And why do and you hear Henrik talk about it a lot. We talk about low danger a lot because we don't want to talk about just shooting without an identity and not having a plan and just putting it on net just to get shots. I think you're going to see one of my cats here over my shoulder.
Love it. He's taking his shot, isn't he?
Well, they call me the Valley Cat.
That's it. But
here's the thing that I really key in on. And last night against Vancouver, what I really loved was the game's first goal. And the reason why is because, and you know this about me, it's always about habits, details. When we're breaking down goals, we're breaking down the game. It started in front of the Rangers' own net. Now, the point shot that came in from Garland, there was no plan at all from his shot. Podkolzin was trying to get to the net front, but Trouba was there to box out. The importance of boxing out is going to be playoffs, right? So we talk about habits and details. Trouba, he gets to the net front first. And this is so important in hockey when you're defending, especially in the playoffs. It's all about quick transition, but what happens before to allow Kreider to score? It fascinates me. I watched this goal several times again this morning. He gets there first, and that allows K'Andre Miller, with his skill set, to be able to surf in and grab the puck. He then has the heads-up play to go indirect off the boards to Trocheck, and now you've got a ton of speed coming down the ice. The Rangers, from the time that shot came off the stick of Garland, and it was a bad shot. To me, it's a bad shot from the point because Podkolzin has no ability to get net front. And that transition, John, it went 6 seconds from the time it went off Garland's stick into the back of the net at the other side of the ice for 200 feet. It was 6 seconds. And what excites me about that is that every detail was hit, every habit was hit. If you want to have a fast transition team that plays quick, it's not just about skating quickly, thinking quickly.
Another analytic that you often point to that has been impressive for the Rangers, and it was in the game against Vancouver, is assists help, literally and figuratively, from the defense in the offensive zone. Rangers scored 4 against the Canucks, had 5 assists from defensemen, 3 from Miller and 2 from Trouba. Speak to the ability of and the importance of this team's defense contributing offensively.
Might be the most underrated, not talked about defense in the league. Really. I don't think enough people give enough recognition to how good this D is. And I hope the fans realize this is an era right now that we're getting into with this team where the strength on the back end feeds a very skilled and gritty group up front. For today's NHL, this isn't the 80s and 90s. It's the way hockey's being played right now. And it is always going to be predicated on how quickly can you get back into your own zone, get out, and get up ice.
When you talk about motivation for players at this time of the season, it's like that maybe that little calm before the storm, although it's often billed as the sprint to the playoffs. It seems pretty assured the Rangers are going to get in the playoffs. Also pretty assured they're not going to win the division. So what is the motivation, you think, in these final 30 games?
I think it's just understanding every night what matters for us as our identity to play well enough to win. And in some cases, it's going to be against non-playoff teams or tanking teams. It's just going to happen. We talked about this in the post game. I think they're looking at about 5 games a month that's really going to push them. And it's going to be one of those measuring stick games. And those 5 games, you hope that they're healthy and able to play those games at a high level so they can learn something about themselves and about their matchup ability and how they line up against certain opponents. But one thing we've seen recently, if you want to skill it up with the Rangers, they can play with you. If you want to play in the alley, they can play with you. I think that this is a team right now with a couple of pieces added on the March 3rd deadline that we're going to be very excited about because they're just playing well. John, 18, 4-3 in the last 25. I mean, you are what your record says you are, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they've been pretty darn good over these last 6-7 weeks, and it's really galvanized the franchise and also the fan base, which is great. Rangers are going to have a couple challenging games coming up as we speak. It's Friday at home against the Seattle Kraken, who are much improved in year 2, and then a game the next night in Carolina before heading out to Western Canada for 3. So it's going to be a challenge. We're going to cover it all. Hank's going to be with us on Friday night on MSG, and then Steve and I will take you through that West Coast. So it's going to be fun to watch, Stevie, and we'll chronicle it all.
It's been a lot of fun, buddy. Let's get ready for a nice finish.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.